All right, so I got to show you guys this because TJ messaged me in the middle of the night last night, practically. And it was just like, look at this. Okay, look at this. This guy, JT, I have no idea what he does or anything, but he resigned all of his roles from wrestling immediately. So that's already kind of a little strange. You know what I mean? Like I had no idea what was going on there. I don't, that already seems a little strange, right? But then when you follow this, whoopsies. Well, that's way too fast. If you follow this, the strangest waste of resources and energy in a long time. This person, I don't know how to say his name, Jodicus, is no longer speaking at RustConf, right? And so, for anyone that doesn't know anything about conferences and what it takes to speak at a conference, my general rule of thumb I have for a conference talk is for every 1 minute of a conference talk, it's 1 hour of preparation. So, like, real talk. Like, so when you're preparing a talk, it's a lot of effort. And this person was doing a keynote. So my guess is that that's like 2 hours of preparation for every 1 minute of talk, right? So it's like it is a lot of effort to do a good conference talk. A very good conference talk is like really painful. And so here we go. So let's read this thing because this just seems crazy right here. I'm no longer speaking at the RustConf 2023 and possible future for compile time programming. Okay. So what? The decision happened after I was reached out to by the RustConf 2023 organizers in a call on May 26th, 2023 around 11:45 a.m. Sorry, I got that wrong. My bad. 12:45 p.m. Montana time. The call was about taking my talk and degrading it from a keynote to a regular talk. I figured this was for scheduling or time slot reasons or because they found someone who was a better fit. None of these were the case. Like that's okay. So a little wild, right? A little wild. By the way, something I do want to say about RustConf. They rejected Greg, the creator of Leptos. So obviously their bar must be really, really high. Greg is probably the nicest person in the Rust community and one of the most talented engineers I have ever met in my entire lifetime, right? So going from a keynote to a regular talk, it's very interesting, right? So there are two whys to answer here. The first why is why am I writing a blog post? I've noticed the reason I've got an influx of follows is because Rust Conference program was released and has my Twitter on it. Sure enough, a bunch of people, especially Rust related and ones with the typical calling of the programming language and the sacred crab. Crablang, by the way. That's a Crablang shout out. Followed my socials. I was also told congratulations by a few close friends who saw it and were paying attention. Again, thank you. And let's see, if I have to individually explain the reasoning and behavior that is going on here to each person, my fingers will quite literally fall off, and I absolutely do not want to waste everyone's time by giving partial retellings over and over and over and over again. Okay. I see what's going on here. I mean, I agree generally with this take. I think it's probably better to explain it in a or in this kind of format anyways, because if you explain it in this kind of format, you're going to avoid a lot of confusion because you can really think about your words. It's good. All right, so let's keep on going. All right. Let's see. The second reason is a lot weirder than I had anticipated or thought about, and it has to do with how this happened and the strange behavior coming from the Rust project about this. But first, a little background. How? I did not submit a talk to RustConf 2023. I had given a special link to register my talk in Sessionize after the deadline because I was not anticipating to do a talk until 2024 when the compiled time reflection work could be done. Okay, so obviously some real complicated work this person's doing. The reason I had to submit the talk specifically was because it was at the behest of the conference organizers. More specifically, I was nominated by the Rust project leadership, to be exact with the wording, to give a keynote, start of the day, shared slot with somebody else, 30 minutes, about something Rust related. Given that my only public Rust work up until then was my mega midterm report on compile time reflection in conjunction with one other group. That is a title. It literally, like, you could even see in the hyperlink, it's like this is the longest title I've ever seen in my lifetime. I figured that that was the best thing I could give a talk on. All right. I was not quiet or shy about this. I was very social with everyone I was in contact, both inside RustConf leadership and with the Rust project leadership who were even remotely in the same discords, etc., as me, about what I would give a talk on. I would talk about compile time programming, my ideas for it sourced from the Rust Foundation grant work I was helping with, and to make sure it was very clear that it was possible future for compile time programming. Not the exact future. The title of my talk was very clear. A very quick walkthrough of possible compile time reflection, bunch of question mark, interrobang, right? Okay. This sounds exciting. I'd watch that. Because personally, I love Zig. Zig comp time is like the coolest thing in the universe, and I would love something like that, because one hard thing about doing good macros is that they're really hard to understand in Rust. It's really non-trivial work. Whereas with Zig, it's almost like it's effortless to do a Zig compile time item. So this would be like this sounds like an amazing potential future, right? I think Zig did it right. I'd love to see that. So emphasis mine on the word possible. I also feel like I have been more than forthcoming with this is nobody's idea for compile time programming but our own. That is, here's the top level disclaimer at the very beginning of the compile time report. All right. As a general purpose disclaimer, while we have spoken with large number of individuals in the specific places about how to achieve what we're going to write about and report on here, it should be expressly noted that no individual mentioned here has recorded support position for this work. Whatever assertions are contained below, it is critical to recognize that we have one and only one goal in mind for this project, and that goal was developed solely under our Shepherd Oasis's own ideals and efforts. Our opinions and are our own, and we do not reflect any other. Wow, this is like the most jargony speak ever. It always is a little shocking that people have to write so much prefaces, other than like, hey, this is just a possibility, everybody. There is no support for this yet. Boom, done, right? Like, the legalese required to type anything is just nutty, right? I'm not sure. Is this a Rust problem? Because it seems like every time I see Rust say anything, they say things what you could say in 5 words in 50 words. I didn't understand the disclaimer literally said, what we're working on has not been technically approved. It is just an idea. Right? What about Oracle? I think they beat Oracle. I cannot imagine it is not clear where whose ideas these were, and that they did not represent Rust Foundation, Rust Project, or anybody else's orthodoxy. Upright, or doxy. But that was technically a technical report based exclusively on our ability to go through the syntax, data, and benefits of existing code. You can imagine my surprise then when I was told by the Rust conference organizer that my talk did not want to be endorsed by the Rust project, and that is what a keynote is meant to be for. Remember when everybody was really kind of a little worried about when we talked about how the Rust project and how they were really that their endorsement and how they could take down sites and stuff based on whether or not they feel good about what you have to say? Remember how we all were maybe a little worried about it, and a lot of people were saying that we were overreacting? Again, I have absolutely no trust that what's going on. It seems terrifying. I know the Rust project does not equal the Rust Foundation, but they're all together, and I feel very untrusting of all of it as of right now. It feels very difficult to understand what's happening. It feels very difficult to understand why they make, decisions, at least from an outside perspective, purely an outside perspective. To be clear, RustConf's keynotes often cover topics both near and far to the Rust project's goals and needs. Never before has a keynote suddenly had an almost wholly indication of the direction of the Rust project goals, nor did presenting about any given topic before seem to have any explicit goals of endorsing a specific result or a specific future. All of their talks are available through RustConf 2021, 2022, etc. playlist right here. Verifying this is as easy as going back through their talks to the note that there is plenty of heterodox and competing viewpoints spoken of by past wow, this is such a hard sentence to read. Keynotes and invited speakers. It is also explicit policy of the RustConf in prior years, 2022 and earlier, to bring in speakers with different outside viewpoints. So even if this keynote's contents were not endorsed by the Rust projects explicitly, that only increases its appeal to the least intended and stated values. Kind of interesting, huh? So it sounds like whatever this project is, I could be a big fan of this project. I haven't read anything about this project. I should probably actually read this project and try to understand what it's about. I'd love to understand what it's about, right? Likely, we got a C++ likely in there, but I'd love to understand what it's about because it seems really cool. Okay. This is, again, also in the face of a conference talk titled about talking about still developing nature of this work. To be completely fair, the work is being paid for. The work has a grant. It is in an effort to make the language better. This seems like a great keynote, right? Like, this is obviously high visibility, high excitement. Something is going on here. Obviously, I don't know about. So I'm a little surprised about this. A clear indication in publicly available materials that the work is not endorsed by any individual organization or collective, and the clear indication from me personally to the RustConf organizers and Rust project leadership that this is what I would be presenting on and its contents before I committed to anything. At this point, no one should, should anyone have thought that I would be capable of misrepresenting what the Rust project wants out of its ecosystem, or that I had somehow overtaken competing proposals in the space. As I always do with technical work that I'm involved in, it is made to be entirely transparent, deeply open, and very clear based on the technical merits of the work. All of the explanations in the modern or midterm compile time programming report for the Rust were technical in nature and critiqued all of the available work based on the merits of its work. How do I not know anything about this compile time programming business? I'm actually right now, the biggest takeaway right now is what the heck is compile time stuff? And did this compile time stuff, did they quit? Is that team getting broken up? I don't know. I can't, because I know minimally one person has quit, which seems intense. Whoever this JT, I don't really know a lot about this JT person right here. He quit, and so seems tough. Seems real tough. All right. So whatever's going on, it sounds tough. You know what I mean? Let's see. Therefore, it is baffling to first be nominated and accepted as a speaker, rush to ensure I provided the conference organizers with everything they need to present the materials accurately to the public, with the explicit blessing of the Rust project leadership and at its direct behest, only to be pulled back later. It is also deeply confusing and ultimately insulting for them not to contact me beforehand and simply ask me if I would disclaimer my work to make it clear that they did not explicitly endorse this direction. Multiple times before the RustConf schedule and program was released, I made it obscenely clear that there was not a going to be an RFC for the work. I'm not sure what that means. I don't know what a going is. There was not going to be an RFC for this work. Let's see. Is going a phrase that I'm unaware of, or is that just an oopsie daisy? I think that's just an oopsie daisy. That's how I'm gonna. I think it's just an oopsie daisy. But you know how there's weird, at Netflix we say there's a there. You know, sometimes you have these weird things. I don't know, maybe a going. You know, it's not a going. Okay, it's not a going. We're not doing that yet. But it's a going. You know, it's a little going. You know, I might start using that phrase because it's kind of like a there. You know, there's a there, or there's not a there. Is there a there? You don't know if there's a there. Right? It's a very, these phrases are important. I was talking about, let's see, hold on. Okay, so let's see, that might be a bias. Let's see. All right, here we go. This might be bias, folks, and whether or not it would be, okay to do this. Individuals in contact with me, both inside and outside RustConf leadership, made it abundantly clear that this topic was perfectly fine. Furthermore, they had already met to discuss my work beforehand, so at no point should anyone be confused about what my intentions and goals are. Spending my resources to play weird games. I don't even know what that means. It is patently obvious that somebody is pulling very weird strings behind the scenes here. At multiple junctures, it is said it would be fine if we did not do this, or I am unsure why they picked me. But at multiple points, I was told I should absolutely keep going, and it was explicitly encouraged for me to go all the way with the keynote. I mean, again, like I said at the beginning, do you know how hard it is to write a good conference talk. Like, it is this nerdy Game of Thrones? This might actually be nerdy Game of Thrones. This makes no sense. Like, all of this makes no sense. Again, I really just wish things were more clear from the Rust side of things. It always feels so weird. The rusted wedding. Can I be Jamie? Wait, I don't want to be Jamie. What am I saying? I don't want to be Jamie. I'm just, ayo. I was like, I want to be Jamie. He was a great sword fighter, but then I realized he also really loved his sister, and then I was like, no, you don't want to be, you don't want to be Littlefinger. I know, the whole loving the sister business. Okay, I messed that up. Anyways, it just always feels like, a personal opinion again. I have no idea how true this is, but maybe I'm just not involved enough, and this is a completely ignorant point, but it always seems like there's a very deep in crowd in Rust, and then there's communication that feels confusing on the outside. That's like my general take. And whether or not people feel that way or that is the case, like in technical reality, the perception feels that way. That people feel very confused about a lot of the directions things are, being taken. For the Rust project involved individuals to speak to me directly and without room for misinterpretation that I should be doing this after their group pushed me to the forefront is bizarre. It is also doubly dubious. I love the term dubious. I need to be using that term more often. That rather than any individual contacting me directly from the Rust Project leadership, including the folks who nominated me in the first place, I was given this mandate from Rust Conference organizers. So that's capital O organizers. So that must be like an email. Who admitted they had no influence over this decision. If someone objects to the direction and content of the midterm compile time programming report, I have been and will continue to be available to discuss the merit of my work and whether or not it is a good fit for the direction of Rust in general. But to date, Shepherd's Oasis. Is this some sort of Firefly reference? I'm not sure what Shepherd Oasis is. What is this? And I have not received any email communication regarding, is that someone's name, Shepherd's Oasis? Or is that a group? I assume that's a group. I have no idea. I don't know what Shepherd's Oasis is. I think it's his company. Oh, it's the company. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. It feels like a Firefly reference. Like, if I were to make a guess, that feels like a Firefly reference. And I have not received any email communication regarding the work or any concerns from the Rust project. Shepherd's Oasis and I have not been given any warnings or asked to reconsider things through any kind of instant messaging, communication, or otherwise, Zulip, Discord, etc. from the Rust project. And Shepherd's Oasis and I were not the original ones seeking to give presentations about the subject material until we were explicitly asked to. The sudden reversal smacks of shadowy decisions that are non-transparent to normal contributors like myself. It is brutal introduction to the way the Rust project actually does business that is not covered by its publicly available procedures and practices and absolutely not at all mentioned in its code of conduct. See, okay, I'm not the only one that's slightly confused, okay? Slightly confused. I would love to know more of what's happening. I think we would all love to know more of what happens, okay? I'm trying to read fast. It's boring. I try to operate on a YouTube 2x time frame, okay? As the Rust Foundation had trouble with its trademark rollout and the Rust project presented itself as the capable group that can do the right thing, I find myself in the opposite situation here. The Rust Foundation has handled the grant work with utmost grace, respect, and professionalism for myself and Shepard's time. Contrarily, the Rust project, I don't know how to say that word. Okay. How do you say that word? Can someone dined? Thank you for respelling it. Someone's like, easy. Deigned. The Project deigned to effectively pass several mandates down through opaque process that affected me, while refusing to air to this minute unknown grievances with the direction of the compile time midterm report. I have already committed a lot of time to continue exploring the direction detailed in the report. The entire goal of the report was to let everybody know early what we were doing. He's restated this quite a few times, but I get this idea. I get the total idea of what's going on here. I feel totally bad Oh, look at this. Yearning for a different direction entirely, a la Zig's comp time direction, which I responded to directly about its implications and impact to the challenges of. Ooh, this is awesome. That's what I want. I love Zig's compile time. That it was incompatible with the current Rust model. Okay. On CTFE, I don't know what that is. How and why was never fully detailed, but most of these conversations have gone into sufficient depth to get to that point or explained what specific parts of the compiler or technology would make this impossible to implement. To invite me as keynote speaker and then quietly cut my legs at the last minute. I think that's a joint. Is that a joint? Absolutely not. This is a mark of both vindictive behavior and severe unprofessionalism that I expect from various organizers I am forced to interact with from day to day as a human being living in a flawed world, but not the Rust project. Sure, I need to ask the organizers that was going to cover expenses to refund everything before it's too late, which perhaps, as the only benefit to this situation, they have released themselves early enough that this should be easy to do. And sure, I no longer get to stand up at RustConf, the most prestigious Rust-affiliated conference there is, and talk. Originally, I was thinking of attending the London Rust conference to talk about this instead sometime in 2024, if it was still around. This was after me repeatedly trying to weasel my way out of the engagement, but failing to tame my usual too powerful urge to talk about X or Y. But truly, there is only one winning move. Okay, what is the winning move? I don't know what the winning move. Rust Nation is good too. Okay, yeah, I have never watched a Rust conference talk. I don't know. Let's say not to play. I think that honestly, that is always the best move, is not to play. When things like this happen, my general thoughts are don't play. Right? When you can't understand decisions that are made, or you feel like they're targeted for some reason other than technical, right? Like some sort of emotive type response, the best way is just to stop playing. Honestly, like there's like this recent Twitter drama. I'm sure some of you are pretty aware of it, where people are where there's an individual that's kind of like causing some harm, and a lot of people are talking about it and blah 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 blah. There's been tweets all over the place. Like the best move is don't play the game. Don't play the game. You can just get completely out. And so I'm in the don't play the game mode right now. Avoid all the things, you know. I didn't think my Asmon tweet would go so wrong. I know, your Asmon tweet. Good job. All right. Let's see, if this is a game, then as painful as it is, and as much as I love indulging my neurodivergence to get up front of a large body of individuals and start info dumping my heart out, I must not play. If I give the talk after it has been downgraded, then I acquiesced that the grotesque behavior is something I personally / professionally am okay with. If I try to negotiate my way back towards a keynote while constantly asking for the reasons for this out-of-the-blue decision, then I'm accepting their framing that this decision-making and process is valid and that I must abide by their opaque governance. I choose neither. This is great. I think this is a great way to put it, right? I think this is a perfect way to state this, which is you think that what they did was bad, therefore you will not continue to give a talk. Nor will you try to negotiate back. So I think this is a big thing I see a lot, is when something bad happens, people tend to try to negotiate back into like good graces or to change something about it, which often is just the wrong move. Because let's imagine that you do get the keynote back. The problem is that you had a target or something odd was on your back beforehand, and now you're back in. Well, guess what's still happening? That same target's there, but potentially larger, more difficult, even worse experience. So it's just like, you know, it could be really, really bad. And so, I don't know, just a thought. I sure hope that everybody, you know, I feel really, really bad. Feel genuinely bad for just the work that Shepherd's Oasis and I don't even know this person's name. Anjaricus. That's me making up how to pronounce it. Feels bad, you know, feels really bad. That's all I have to say, is that this sounds like literally the worst possible outcome. Sorry. Biarcus? Okay. Anyways, genuinely feel bad. All right. I guess we got continuation. I didn't realize there was a continuation. The way governance currently works in the Rust project is yet again in a broken state, resulting in the project-wide decisions without proper process or consensus, which results in people getting hurt. The sooner the new council is formed, the better. Yeah, I mean, that's rough. That's real rough. I get it. I don't know what the new council, I don't quite know what that means or what it would take. But, I mean, it sucks that happened. Big shame to see. I recently dropped multiple clients and products in the past couple months due to Rust Drama, copyright, Big Brother stuff, and client concerns. Okay. Dude, it's hard to read what I can't tell what you're trying to say. So I'm moving to Zig and Odin. I wish Odin was as easy to use with clibs as Zig is. Okay. Also, you should look at this. Holy cow, there's even more. The PhD. All right, so that was the article. Let's see. As someone who has just as little idea of what's going on as anyone else here, this is my best attempt at a summary of the situation based on the information contained in the post. The author has been working on a proposal for an experimental language feature, which has been facilitated by monetary grant from the Rust Foundation. Their work drew attention of the RustConf organizers, who invited the author to give a keynote. Okay, the author chose to make aforementioned proposed language feature the topic of their talk, and this was clear. Yep. At some point afterwards, the Rust conference organizers contacted the author to inform them that their talk was being downgraded from a keynote to a regular talk, apparently at the Rust leadership. As a result, the author withdrew their talk entirely, noting that, ironically, as the Rust Foundation has had trouble with its trademark rollout and the Rust project presented itself as the capable group that can do anything right, I find myself in the opposite situation here. Yeah. Which is funny because I'm kind of under the personal thing where I'm having a hard time trusting any of it. I mean, I feel bad. It feels really bad in the sense that I really love the language. I really, really love what's going on with Rust. I think this is a really great thing. I'm going to keep looking at the comments below. Don't worry. It's just, honestly, this hurts me. It hurts me because this just shows, this is like a classic example of why power given to humans suck, right? Like, we all can't help it. Everybody gets awful. I would not want to be in leadership because I know for a fact that, anytime you get in leadership, it's like it's impossible not to get, it feels like it's impossible not to get corrupted. And it feels very sad. I feel very sad about this. ChatGPT is worse. ChatGPT has just codified human bias into a machine. That's all it is. ChatGPT would only be 1,000 times worse because you'd have no idea how decisions are made, and it would be life and death, right? Like, I would hate AI overlords. They would be 1,000 times worse. Like, literally 1,000 times worse. At least there's a human that gets disposed of by time, and then new humans have to come in. I feel completely... It just sucks because this is a great language and there's plenty of great people in the community. I still think about Greg. Leptos Greg is one of the nicest people I've ever met. I think about Ben Weiss, or Benny, both from the Rust community. A lot of Bens out there. Just amazing, great individuals. Huge respect for them. I love what they do. Love how passionate they are. It's just fantastic. And so it always makes me sad. You know what I mean? Kids will turn to AI. I know kids will turn to AI. Anyways, okay. Let's see. This seems the sort of thing that calls for a response from the Rust project leadership, but is unclear right now since the Rust project leadership is currently completely overhauled its governance structure. If I may assume good faith from all parties here, the charitable interpretation is that the ongoing overhaul to the governance structure is causing crossed wires and dropped packets. I hate this. I hate this response right here. Because that means, the problem with this response means that it's all good natures and oopsie daisies. The thing is that if that's true, then the communication would become clear, right? Instead, you're just blaming a nothing, right? Someone needs to step up and take responsibility. Who made the decision? Someone, at one point, there's one or more people who made a decision. They need to make a decision and make it clear what happened. There's no oopsie daisies, lost packets, right? Just be clear with your communication always. Err on the side of over communicating than under communicating. Tom's a genius. He wouldn't have had this happen to begin with. So, yeah, the disappearing perpetrator. Yeah, let's see. This is just miscommunication. I hate that. Exactly. I hate that too. I hate that, oh, it's just a miscommunication, oopsie daisy. It's just like, okay, then communicate. Try again. Take a swing, right? Like, do a good job. Help us out here. I'm attempting to use my contacts in order to find the proper person to bring this to the attention of. In the meantime, since nobody here has any more information and all we can do is uselessly speculate, I will be locking comments to minimize the drama. I also dislike this. Let the people talk. Ooh, this is just the worst of all looks. Oh, this is literally 1,000 times worse than, like, this is somehow the worst aspect of it all. Like, the thing is that you just let people speculate. It doesn't matter. You put a nice pinned comment up at the top and say, hey, this is all the information we have. Everything here below is pure speculation. We will try to get the right person on board, right? Like, that's all you have to do. And it's honestly, it makes it easy. Like, because this is just like a pure version of censorship. Because the worst part is that you can't even have a singular place where communication can happen now. You know where communication happens now? Right here. Now you have me talking about it, which is like, I don't think I'm a good representative of it. I don't know what's going on here. I'm not the right person. You know what I mean? There's another post. There is another post. Does anyone want to... anyone, does he know? Comments on my J Diesel on his thread, I know. Does anyone want to link me another thing? Because this is... I'm genuinely disappointed by this. I'm sure you're trying to do your best, okay, Mr. Kibwen. But this ain't it. Like, this ain't it. Like, no one feels good about this. No one's going to feel good about this. Right? This doesn't help anybody. And it feels bad. I mean, this is the classic thing where, this is why everyone hates Reddit. Truly why everybody hates Reddit. You know what I mean? Is because it is more moderated and more authoritarian than like any other platform, right? You just have one mod that can just destroy anything, right? The mods are the worst. Mods are like little tyrants, right? And that's the problem, is that it's their will, and sure, it's their will. Whoever this person is, they get to be a mod. It's their will. That's how it works. That doesn't mean I can love it. I don't have to love it. I think focusing on the solution is the best idea. Reform. Can you look at the RC? I could look at the RC. I think that is the best solution, is obviously looking to reform. But somebody has to, like, you also have to just, like, the worst thing you can do is make everyone be quiet where all the eyes are at, because then all the talkings are distributed among everywhere, right? It is 1,000 times better to have people in here saying, yeah, but that's speculation. Yeah, but that's speculation. Yeah, no one has actually said that. Yeah, but that's speculation. Yeah, what you're doing is you're just making stuff up, right? Like, all those words could be there, and then guess what? Everything that's said right here would be all dispelled right away, right? But the structure is ambiguous, and then no one knows who the person is to step up and say something. That's why you need clear. Yes, well, yes. I mean, that's a Rust problem. But this is a Reddit problem, right? This is different. I don't know. It just makes me sad, I think, in general. In general, this makes me sad. I wish it wasn't this way. Again, my favorite language I've ever used, and I feel bad about it. That's all. I'm not a person that can tell you exactly. I'm someone that I don't think I know the exact right answer. And so is this answer better than letting people speculate? Is this answer better than telling everyone to shut up? Is this answer better than suppressing knowledge, or the opposite, trying to get people out there right away to talk about it? I don't know what the right answer is, because I don't know anything, but I can tell you that the only thing I know is that more transparency is better. Feels bad. Feels bad. Sorry for the persons affected. Sorry for the deleted comments. Sucks. Yeah, Rust is great, but yeah, you're right. Like, how they run the leadership, it seems sucky. It just seems sucky. This is what I hate about open source. Yeah, open source can be really tricky. And I get it that Rust has a lot of money coming in. They need a foundation. They need people running the ship. They need people making decisions. I'm on that team. Like, you need that. You have to have that. It makes perfect sense. How's the Zig leadership? It is something that I really do need to look into more. JT resigns from the roles of the Rust project. Yeah, I'm also curious about this. Here's the Hachyderm post for it. So I don't have alerts on. I'm going to say there's a lot of thank yous I need to make. I mentioned on Twitter, but I also mentioned it here. I've resigned. I wish there was more. So this is, I mean, it's truly, this is why all of this was done. So I have no idea what happened. Feels bad. Feels bad. Do you like Rust because it's as powerful as C, but with safety? I like Rust because of the expressive type system. I love the trait system. I love a lot of those things. I don't necessarily love the safety aspect of Rust. I mean, that's why I'm very OCaml curious, is because I could love OCaml. Real talk, OCaml could be the thing I love. I love the type system. And so that's why I'm just curious about anything. Bro, literally send a Mastodon link on Reddit that sends to a Twitter. Absolute social media addiction. There is a very convoluted thing. OCaml, oh crazy, oh baby, yeah. And so real talk, that's why I want to get into OCaml. I want to get into that. I haven't HTMX'd yet. I really want to get into that because I really love the type system. I love traits. I love the ability. I just love what it does to the language. It's beautiful. So